Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Chairman Royce and the Ranking Member Engel for moving this bill swiftly through the committee to the floor. I am proud and appreciative to have introduced this bill with my friends Congressman Israel, Congressman Meehan, my colleagues on the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum Council, and it is a testament to Elie Wiesel's inspirational reach across our country that 158 of our colleagues from both sides of the aisle joined us as original co-sponsors. In particular, I'm grateful to my friend and colleague, Representative Ross-Lehtinen, for her commitment to all of the ideals that Elie Wiesel lived out. House Resolution 810 recognizes the incredible life and accomplishments of Elie Wiesel. Elie Wiesel was a legend, the kind of influential figure that changes people around him, leaves the world in a much better place. His story is taught in classrooms. His work is read by millions in dozens of languages, and his accomplishments are recalled in halls of governments around the world. He lived through one of history's darkest moments. He survived Auschwitz and Buchenwald, scenes of some of the manifestations of the worst evil of humankind in modern history. And he went on to become an acclaimed writer, human rights activist, and Nobel laureate. This giant of a man refused to stay silent as other atrocities took place around the world in the years following the Holocaust. From Rwanda to Kosovo, from Cambodia to Sudan, Elie Wiesel always spoke out because, as he put it, I swore never to be silent. And whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation, we must take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. The last sentence reverberates loudly around the world today. Silence encourages the tormentor and never the tormented. Mr. Speaker, this resolution is the least we can do to respect and to honor Elie Wiesel's memory, so let's do more. Over 70 years after the Holocaust, bigotry and prejudice continue to plague societies around the world. Anti-Semitism, the millennia-old hatred of Jews that spawned Hitler's final solution, can still be found today. Anti-Semitism from Paris to Buenos Aires, from Malmo to Marseille to London, and anti-Semitism on the streets, online, and on college campuses. Time after time, Jewish communities around the world are forced to make a decision. Is it safe for me to send my children to a Jewish school? Can we walk to synagogue without fear of heckling? And might it be time for me and for my family to move from our neighborhood, our community, or even our country because of the antagonism and hatred and violence that forces us to flee like other times in Jewish history? I'm proud of the bipartisanship that this topic receives from my colleagues and the widespread membership of the bipartisan task force for combating anti-Semitism. And I know that we will continue to use our platforms and our tools to keep Jewish communities safe. But the intolerance that Wiesel spoke out against wasn't limited to anti-Semitism. His life's experiences compelled him to focus our attention on any part of the world where innocent people are being targeted. 5.5 years into the Syrian conflict, over 400,000 people have lost their lives, millions of others are displaced. Thousands of Syrian children born in the last 5 years now know only the life of living in a refugee camp or makeshift residences. I'm hopeful that the recently announced ceasefire will hold, but there have been some egregious injustices done to innocent Syrians by both the Assad regime and radical terrorist groups like ISIS. We cannot allow these violations to go unpunished, and we must pay attention to these atrocities every day, not only on the days when painful images of young children dominate social media, whether a refugee washed ashore or a blood-stained boy from Aleppo who has known only war. Whether it's war in Syria, turmoil in South Sudan, or systemic human rights violations in Venezuela or in Iran, or attacks on women and girls in too many places in the world. It is our duty to keep the attention and pressure on human rights violators and do everything we can to protect innocent civilians. We must commit ourselves to promoting tolerance, speaking out against injustice, taking action against bigotry in all its forms, and upholding and living out the principle that comes from the Holocaust: never again. Elie Wiesel did his part and changed our work, changed our world. Let's elevate Elie Wiesel's memory and continue his work. Silence encourages the tormentor. Today we speak out. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I